why is it that people have to move 60 kilometers away, 70 kilometers away, especially when there is no transportation, bringing them back to city centers and they're traveling 4 hours, 5 hours a day? Is it because the land prices are too expensive and the build cost is too expensive that you can't have a decent housing within the city? Even if you kind of build affordable housing, there is hardly any infrastructure to support that.
Absolutely. I don't think for a second I will argue with you on that.
If you have to look at India 10 years from now and you're on the policy side,
I think the policy-wise, I need to spend on infrastructure only. The only equalizer, real estate affordability is inversely proportional to infrastructure quality.
it manifests, ISH manifests from perhaps a lot of questions I have about real estate, and I'm trying to grapple that. I happen to do 2 podcasts on real estate. I still haven't found the right answer. Hopefully, when we leave today, if we can find that right answer on this. When you look at India and when you look at microcosm markets like Gurugram per se, right? EMAAR is quite visible here. Are we still segmenting real estate as affordable housing, luxury segment, mid-tier segment, the way perhaps how hotels are segmenting those customers?
Let me first congratulate you and your team on putting together this show. It has been about 3 years ago I came to
Correct.
one such event, and from what I saw then, what I see now, there is a huge transformation. I think there is not a speck which I could think differently being placed. The colors are right, the finishing is right, everybody is well put together. So it feels good when one walks in, and that's what India represents. To me, this is the future. You know, 30 years from now, each of these probably, or many of these people will be, our kids will be sitting here, driving the change. And many of us 30 years ago saw the India also.
Correct.
So I am an eternal optimist.
Yeah.
And I think there is a change which we saw in India. When I was in engineering, we were struggling. You know, you probably know my background a little bit. I will take certain background which you probably do not mention, because a lot of it starts looking rosy towards the fag end of your career. I have probably about 10 years left in me. But the first part of my life, I come from a small little village in Odisha with about 50 people. I learned or started learning English at the age of 17. But India gave me the ability to learn, right? I got all the exposure that you talked about. It all came along as I went along. Aspirations keep increasing as you grow. So I remember when I was in primary school, I wanted to become a primary school teacher. That was the biggest boy I could ever see in my life. Somebody who gets respected when he goes on a bicycle in our village. And then I suddenly realized when you finish 5th standard, we had to go almost 5 kilometers away every day to a high school. And then I realized the high school teacher is a bigger boy than the primary school teacher. So let me become a high school teacher. And then that's how the aspiration kept climbing. I had no idea how one becomes an engineer. I had no idea how one becomes an MBA, right? In the small little villages, what do you know? But every time you see, the boundary kind of keeps getting stretched. Every time you experience something better. And as it's stretched, it starts becoming in your reach. All that is required to reach the reach is essentially your effort, your intent, some amount of passion, some amount of energy, some amount of encouragement from others, and some amount of environment, and a huge amount of luck, and probably your parental blessing. And then you can reach.
We'll double click on the luck a little later.
Sure. Absolutely. So to me, I think to your question, I can also relate to what I said in many ways, right? So nothing is permanent.
Got it.
Including how we view the industry, including how we view real estate, including how you do segmentation. Segmentation is for us to sit as a strategist and decide a segmentation. For the guy who is buying, he doesn't care about segment. He's not looking at, okay, let me buy luxury or affordable or something like that, right? He basically, it's a seller's perspective that we are talking about segmentation. A buyer doesn't segment in his mind. Buyer keeps about thinking about what's my need, and is my need getting covered by a particular provider of that particular thing that I'm purchasing. As long as that suits me, I'm good. So as far as a buyer is concerned, I'm hoping that I made sense. There is a particular genre of product that you want to buy, or we are calling it segment, right? And effectively, as a result, every customer is a segment to me. Every customer I need to sell is a segment, because his needs are different, his aspirations are different, his expectations are different. He needs to be, sometimes 2 customers buying the same product are different. But for the buyer, I say both are same segment, whereas they are not. Of course, there are some generic attributes through I put them into the same segment. It enables me to reduce my cost, get some efficiencies, bring some uniformity in some practices, and all of that is true. But to your very core question, very quickly, yes. Do we see segments changing? Absolutely, yes. Do we see, segments change within a cycle very fast?
Correct.
So of course the larger big segments, if you're looking at a particular economy, they more or less stay the same. 20 years ago we used to call it affordable. Luxury was slightly less. Affordable, mid income or mid market, premium economy, almost similar to airlines. So you will look at airlines or almost any services or any product that you buy similarly has segments, but those are driven by price and driven by largely specifications. So those won't change much in my opinion. However, the substrata or within every segment we do subsegment, and and there is a crisscross also. However, I think has been a big change is each segment is redefining itself. So affordable is no more affordable. For example, government of Haryana took a call on the affordable housing policy this week, saying a car is a compulsory thing within every, which has to come with every affordable house. So far it was not. So if you go to some of the affordable housing units in Gurugram, they don't have car parks. So they park wherever they feel like on the roads, which has created another urban mess. So that needs to be solved. So we thought 10 years ago when the affordable housing policy came that the person who needs to live in an affordable house doesn't need a car.
Yeah.
But now we have realized, I think 5 years too late, but nevertheless we realized that the car is a bare essential now. That was not the economic reality 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Similarly, economic realities are evolving. People are getting richer. People's aspirations are becoming better. Everybody is watching Netflix. Everybody is watching Instagram. So lifestyle, you are getting bombarded with examples which on a daily basis is making you aspire more, whether your pocket allows you to not or not. As a result, segments are evolving on a daily basis. So environmental aspects of a development, health aspects of a development, wellness aspect of a development, energy efficiency aspects of a development, infrastructural and experiential. I think Ms. Guha talked about experiential. Real estate has become experience now. Real estate is not infrastructure, or infrastructure itself has become experience. So to me, I've given a very roundabout answer to your question. Absolutely, I don't think there is any doubt that there is nothing permanent about these segments.
Okay. I'll double click on each and every point which you've made because I know you're quite a hard talker yourself, right? And hopefully you'll give me this answer. We have 10 million students who graduate each year from India at an average salary of about 300,000. They come from lower middle class households. At best, INR 20 million would be the household income. For the last 5 or 7 years, you would have heard this, that this generation does not want to buy real estate and they rather the rent versus buy. But I think that is only a subversion of perhaps the way the unaffordability of real estate is happening, at least in the tier 1 cities. Why is it that people have to move 60 kilometers away, 70 kilometers away, especially when there is no transportation, bringing them back to city centers and they're traveling 4 hours, 5 hours a day? Is it because the land prices are too expensive and the build cost is too expensive that you can't have a decent housing within the city for, let's say, INR 10 million, INR 15 million?
I think so. I think it's fairly obvious. The land prices are going up, the input material costs are going up, which makes it the economic reality of being able to afford is coming under constant question. And prices are not less than doubling every cycle, probably even tripling between one cycle and another. And cycles keep revisiting us in about, let's say, 7 to 8 years or 10 years at most. So when I came to Gurgaon, I remember Ridgewood Estate, if you remember.
Correct.
That's where I used to live. And the owner of that property said, "Why are you renting? Why don't you buy?" And he was offering me at that point in time for 900 rupees per square foot. Today it is available at 22,000 rupees per square foot. Of course, I came to Gurgaon about 22 years ago. So in 22 years, it has grown up by 22 times in a particular society. Same thing in Central Park. We were, I don't know if you bought or you rent, I think.
Yeah.
So I used to live next to you and I bought it for 6,200 rupees 10 years ago. It's now 40,000 for this. So has it become unaffordable? Absolutely. Yeah. Every time what happens is what is a center becomes off center very soon.
Correct.
Because better things keep coming and it of course becomes unaffordable to people. But I think India is arming the people who are facing the unaffordability conundrum with something else. So I feel lower middle class has got a far bigger strength than an upper middle class.
Why do you say that?
So
And where is the leverage?
I think apologies for bringing your children and my children into the conversation, but fact remains that your children and my children are used to a particular kind of lifestyle and a relative level of spoon in the mouth which others do not have.
Correct.
What it takes away in the process, in the bargain, because everything is at the end of the day balanced, because nature abhors anything other than balance. They lack the enthusiasm, the energy, the aspiration, and the hunger. And I think the biggest differentiator for a lower middle class versus an upper middle class is the degree of aspiration and hunger.
Correct.
And hunger makes you do many things. So the hunger, today you can be thrown out 60 kilometers out because it is unaffordable, but the hunger will pull you into the center. What will throw you out then is absence of hunger. To me, I'm giving a very abstract response to a very solid question. But to me, the economic reality cannot be changed. To me, the price is what it is. That is what the economy is willing to clear it at. You cannot feel exasperated about it. You will have to settle with it. The second best thing which I think India can do, which it is doing, in my opinion, is spending on infrastructure. Is it able to spend it fast enough? Is it able to do well enough? I do not know. But 30 years ago, when we came out of colleges, it was guaranteed that our roads were not good. Our train journeys used to take time. Our road journeys used to take time. We did not have the golden quadrilateral came around 95, 97, I think, when Vajpayee came in 96. Post that golden quadrilateral came, India knew what a road is after that. Till that time, a truck from Bombay to Delhi used to take 3 days. Now a truck from Bombay to Delhi takes 12 hours.
Correct.
A truck from Bombay to Delhi would stop at 12 different places and pay octroi at so many different places, getting harassed in so many different places. Now there is GST and SGST, everything is kind of pretty smooth. And toll gates, there is no stoppage. You kind of move on by putting that UPI sticker, whatever you call that, QR codes and all of that stuff. So I think people like you and me who have got the advantage of being about 50, though many of you may not think it's an advantage, is we can sell that optimism. Because we have seen India performing, we have seen India growing, we have seen India changing. One can be frustrated with the pace of change, one can be frustrated with the degree of change, but there is no doubt about the direction of change.
Let me again double click on it in context with China. When you saw, right, there was a huge emigration coming in from the villages to the cities, and they created suburbs as huge to house in 2 million, 3 million, 4 million people outside of Shanghai, Guangzhou, Chengdu, Beijing. You're seeing that. Why haven't we been able to do that?
I don't know whether we want to be able to like that. So let me be a little contrarian there.
Okay.
I have been to China.
Okay.
And when I was going from Shanghai to a small little town, there was a company called Canadian Solar, their factory, about 200 kilometers away. I went on a bullet train. It took us about 45, 50 minutes to reach there. So you cross major part of Shanghai, almost 100 kilometers of Shanghai we crossed. It's that huge a city. And we crossed a couple of smaller cities, we reached there. And my immediate reaction when I saw, because we were crossing highways after highways, 16-lane highways and all of that, and buildings after buildings, was what a disaster this place is. Not what a great thing this is. It all looks nice, spick and span, of course. It's everything is, you can't find any dust or dirt on the road. You don't see traffic congestion on the road. I love it when I see traffic congestion. It took me 45 minutes to come here. In China, it would have taken me 15 minutes. I said, this is nice. I am getting return on my investment as an Indian for my tax dollars. Because everything is busy. I would rather be stuck in traffic. I know this Lady Bahadur talked about 4 hours being on the traffic. Why is it wrong? I can afford it today because I'm young. My economy can only afford that. My economy cannot afford a half an hour drive. So it's unfortunate reality of me, but it will reach there. You guys did not live when it used to take 8 hours. I just gave you examples of coming from Bombay to Delhi in 3 days. The trucks were taking that, right? We were not cribbing about it, but don't forget that unless that generation had not gone through that pain, we would not have come through what it is. We needed some vision, but we needed capital, Kunal. It's very important. We did not have savings rate beyond 30% till what, about 2004, 2005 or maybe 2010. I would be wrong. You guys can research it better. Unless you reach a threshold saving rate in the economy, where do you get the capital to start? My parents did not have the capital to send me to anything other than a government college. Government school. I have the capital to send my children to something. I cannot crib about my parents. Why is the government not sending me to some private school of the heftiest? You cannot. Everything is driven by affordability, and it's okay. Everybody will get its time under the sun. What is required is, what do you back your aspiration with? Are you willing to do everything to reach there? Or you are just happy, hoping that things will fall in your lap? In a perfect market, capitalistic economy which we are, it won't fall on our lap. I am sorry to say that.
Okay.
So affordability will continue to be a problem, and it will not only continue to be a problem for the foreseeable future, it will continue to be a problem till India exists as a country. Even if we become $50,000 economy, we will have some other affordability issue. I want to live in the only place in the whole country. I can't. There is only a Lutyens which can afford 200 people. My next aspiration will be to go and live there. Your aspiration will be live. Everybody wants to go to the center, right? So that change is good for the economy. That change means everybody brings a lot of energy. Economy starts doing better. In the process, we will win. Only process which will change things is to bring better infrastructure. That is the biggest neutralizer between where I am today versus where you are. 60 kilometers away, how does it matter? But if I can bring the ladies 4 hours to half an hour, it doesn't really matter.
Kalyan, the reality is also a colleague of mine moved about 40 kilometers from where we are towards the Maharashtra side, moved towards Jaipur side. And unfortunately, he doesn't have good schools around, right? And neither there are school buses. So the disadvantage is also there. So even if you kind of build affordable housing, there is hardly any infrastructure to support that.
Absolutely. I don't think for a second I will argue with you on that. Social infrastructure, as we call it, hospitals, schools, parks, safety, security also. When you go away, safety, security might be a little bit of a question. So don't get me wrong. I do appreciate the other side of the coin. I'm just saying the economy ultimately will clear at a particular price. I may not like, for example, the share price of a particular company. That doesn't mean that the economy will clear it at my price.
No,
it's similar.
My only kind of question to people like you as well is the fact that when the per capita is about 2,005 and 3,000, we are only building high-priced real estate, which is unaffordable, period. It's unaffordable 60 kilometers from the main city center. Why can't there be and when you know there is a demographic dividend of about 500 million, as I said, around 10 million students each year kind of graduate and they just don't have any space to stay.
I agree with you. I think there are innovations which we are seeing with respect to, let's say, student housing as an example, or co-living, for example.
Correct.
Or in the office space, when office became unaffordable, we have co-working as office spaces. So there are solutions which need to come in the interim by entrepreneurial minds.
Does EMAAR have that kind of vision for it?
All of us do, including us.
Okay.
Of course. So there are solutions which come, which cater to the gaps in the short run. I was in UK last week and we went and saw some of the student housing because obviously, you and my children are figuring out ways to get into the colleges now. It's in a different level and India has not reached it yet. That gives me hope. That means there is a lot to do on that which will solve the student housing problem. There is a lot to do on the co-living side. There is a lot to do on the co-working side. And I think India is getting entrepreneurs. I think we have a huge advantage also as Indians of skipping a few layers. You know what China went through painfully by spending lots of money. We don't need to go do as much painfully. We can reach the same level by spending far lesser money.
Do you think so?
I think so, because technology is such a huge differentiator.
But they still went through the manufacturing side and we have just gone through the services side. And largely people who are non-cognitive are not included in the services side of the economy.
That is true. I think, so they unfortunately or fortunately can do things which we cannot do. We have got a particular way we run the country, being democratic. So debates and democracy is our strength. At times, that turns out to be the weakness relative to China. But 7 days in a week, 24 hours in a day, I will prefer our way of running than otherwise. We both run homes, right? It's 4-4. We both of us are hopeless minorities in our own households with 3 women and 1 man. So we don't even arrange.
Sorry, 2 maids also.
Sorry? Okay. So we are nothing. Our it does not run at our household. It starts running only after once we step out of the house.
Yeah.
But what kind of government runs in your house?
Yeah. What kind of a government can?
Yes. Do you have democracy running?
No, authority.
No, so it cannot. Because everything runs well only if it is authoritarian. But in India, we run democracy, right? It's not easy to run. So some of the negative side which comes through the democracy, you have to accept and adapt.
Tell me something, Kalyan. If I had to not a philosophical question, but a question that if you have to look at India 10 years from now and you're on the policy side, let's say, and I'm sure because of your heavy involvement in polity as well, tomorrow you wake up and you're on the policy side of things. What are the 2-3 steps you would kind of take to set it in the right direction? I'm not saying it's not in the right direction, but we need to expedite it.
Limiting to real estate and affordable you are talking about?
Yeah.
I think the policy wise, I need to spend on infrastructure only. The only equalizer, and I have said this in multiple places, so now it is on road. Real estate affordability is inversely proportional to infrastructure quality.
Correct.
So the more the infrastructure, the higher the affordability, because the distance from a place, the safety, security, water, electricity availability, stormwater, and all of that stuff, everything, or hospital, healthcare, like we talked about, or education that we talked about, availability of that at an arm's length is infrastructure. So if I can give better infrastructure, I solve real estate problem. So the answer for real estate lies in improving infrastructure.
Is there a contradiction that we are building super highways, but we are unable to build super drainage systems in Gurgaon?
I think, you are taking me to an area which is pretty close to my heart. We have got two kinds of municipalities in the country. We have got a public municipality which is government run. We have got a private, or maybe three kinds. We have got a private municipality which is run largely by developers. So we develop a community of 10 acres, 15 acres. We run our own little municipality inside.
Correct.
The first municipality works worse than the second municipality. And there is a third municipality. You are aided by a couple of minutes to run your household municipality. That runs even better than the builder municipality. You are always happier inside your household than you are inside your community, than you are inside with this. And this is not going to change. I am liking to believe that in 10 years from now, this thing is not going to change, and that's good. Because once you have a differentiation between these three, then you are expecting better from the outer layer than the inner layer, right?
Correct.
Otherwise, if your outer layer behaves better than my inner layer, then I would prefer to be the outer layer than the inner layer. So it is good. It is like a drunkard in a village. The drunkard in a village is a huge positive. He's the role model on what not to do. That is also important in life. You need to know what exactly do you want to do. When I go to China, I say, okay, this is great, but I cannot get there. Doesn't mean I keep on aspiring and feel frustrated, but what is my best alternative to that is what I look at. I am a serious optimist and almost like a hopeless optimist when it comes to Indian policy making. I've seen in the last 10 years extremely closely how well they do a job. In this country, to come up with policies like the way they do is unbelievable. And at the senior most level, we have some brilliant leaders, right? And just like any other part of the economy, there is a 10%, 20% who are like super excellent, far exceeds expectations people, and they do a damn good job. Without policy, we would not have gotten all these roads and all of that stuff. Without policies, you would not have gotten UPI, which is there out there today. Aadhaar, you would not have gotten. The emergence of all of this is groundbreaking. It is path breaking. This is the setting the foundation for the success for the future. Do I have as a result hope for the next 10 years for this equalization to come in a way? I do. But through infrastructure, not through real estate.
But also as policy making, in the sense there has to be much more stringent laws for law breaking people, right? And especially the first municipality.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think, and that is beginning to happen. If you read the newspaper closely, and I will encourage children to kind of pull together small papers by just doing Google searches. Don't do too much. AI, Google, go to your Claude or Gemini and ask these questions. What are the 20 things which happened in the last 1 year? You will be full of it. I joined policy discussions and there are challenges. Unfortunately, the policy evolution or regulatory evolution cannot be done only for real estate to solve housing alone.
Correct.
We are a country replete with problems everywhere. Food is a problem, safety is a problem, law and order is a problem, agriculture is a problem, energy security is a problem, border security is a problem. We have got limited resources. How do we allocate? Yes, it feels good. I am a real estate person. You guys are relatively real estate too, because you run hotels inside real estate. Without real estate, you can't run your hotels. So we believe our world unfortunately consumes 80% of our time is consumed within real estate, and hence it is very natural to be passionately talking about real estate. But India has far more problems, and India needs to address all of that simultaneously. It doesn't have a choice of addressing real estate first and everything else later. So I think if you go through it, you will see that there is serious amount of change which has happened. The previous chief minister was a policy wonk. You would not believe the degree to which he knew about policies, and the new one too. I have had opportunities to sit with them. They can read out policies. They can tell you which policy has what drawback, because the government very actively takes feedback from every cross section of the society. We have got a pretty robust public hearing system. Any policy comes, there are people complaining, you go and talk about it, and there is very active hearing which happens. We have got a pretty robust, positive policy evolution system.
But
There is always a but. It's about what is the font size of it and how bold is it. But I do not go by the words after the but. I prefer the words before the but. We can spend an entire session post the but. I personally believe we are in the right track. I personally believe every time we try to do something, there is a challenge which comes, which is not in our control too. So I think we are running behind by about 5-7 years to my comfort. First a pandemic came, kind of unsettled us for a good 4-5 years. Our dreams got delayed by that much time. Before that we had, or have now, for example, this little war came.
Can I ask you a question, Kalyan? Let's look at 28, 29. Both of us will be in our late 50s at that point in time. India, let's say, is about $7,000 per capita at that point in time. Infrastructure would be far better. Do you think culturally we'll be there in terms of these garbage issues, these infrastructure issues at that point in time? And hopefully we'll be about 8-10 trillion at that time. Do you think this will be solved?
I think the municipalities don't get funded today adequately. Largely we are squarely responsible as citizens.
Because of our taxes? Is because we
Let
don't...
me ask you a question.
Got it.
How much do you pay as common area maintenance in your society?
I think...
3 rupees
3
85
rupees,
in the
yeah,
same society.
yeah.
So 3 rupees 85 paise are common area maintenance. 1 rupee 25 paise is our common area electricity. If you add both, it is 5 rupee 5 paise, 5 rupee 10 paise. And then we pay 18% GST on top. That takes it to about 6 rupees 50 paise. That is the private municipality charge of living inside your municipality. How much do you pay to the government municipality?
Whatever taxes I pay, that's about it.
No, if you know, you tell me.
I don't think so, anything.
You don't even pay 1 rupee.
Yeah.
We are expecting the whole city, with a much larger one, to be managed by 1 rupee. And for this little 10-acre community, you are willing to pay 6 rupees. Is there a surprise that the 6 rupees one works better? And how much do you spend inside your home? Do you spend 6 rupees per square foot?
Not really.
Obviously not, right? You spend probably 600 rupees a square foot or whatever that may be equivalent. Obviously, you got a better quality outcome. I think what is directly proportional to the outcome or the quality is the amount of money you are willing to spend, which is where I come with hope. When I passed my engineering back in 1993, India was a $500 per person economy with the dollar trading at around 15 rupees, if I recall right. Now dollar it is 90 rupees and we are about 3,000.
Can I tell you something? You know, apart from this kind of an argument, the same argument holds true in any developed country as well, right? In terms of what they pay. Eventually is the taxes that are kind of collected and government requires those money enough to disperse it in whether it's security or whether it's municipality. The problem, do you believe, is also intent? If that intent is good, whatever little resources you have, you can put that to good use.
I agree with you. I think in a democracy, you will have intent issues because two human beings are not the same. But there are enough people with the good intent too. I personally believe it is more of a resource problem than intent problem. We lived with an Indira Gandhi International Airport when I started traveling internationally back in mid-90s. It was a rickety airport. I don't know how many people have been around in 90s and how many people have been going to those airports. I went to Addis Ababa airport. That would be around 10 years ago. Indira Gandhi airport was like Addis Ababa airports.
True.
You know, you would not want to go there again. The toilets were not working, the floors were not clean, the walls were not clean. Imagine this same thing. Why do you maintain it this way? You can also maintain it like a government school. You don't because you have the resources, right? And the students are willing to pay for it because they are getting a particular quality and upkeep. It is important. But unfortunately, we don't have resources. The moment we started getting resources, which is an earlier point which I made with respect to the savings rates of the economy, about 30+%, we started revamping our airports. You know, you don't have only Indira Gandhi Airport. Your Bengaluru is revamped, your Hyderabad is revamped. In the latest round, even Lucknow is revamped, your Baroda is revamped a couple of weeks ago. These are looking top-notch international airports. They are no worse than any international or global level airport that you go to. That gives me hope that you will not be any different than a London or a Paris or wherever in terms of a municipality upkeep at a city level. The moment we start getting richer. To me, that will happen the moment we reach, and my experience of traveling abroad, and I probably would have traveled to about 25-30 countries by now. Some of them are developed, some of them are not developed. And this is a thumb rule, this is a observation, hypothesis I am making, I have not tested it. You guys have the research capability to test it. To me, if you reach about $12,000 per capita on a US dollar basis, not purchasing power parity basis, I think you will be able to come to a standard of municipality upkeep, which will be comparable to
a good European city.
a reasonable European city.
Yeah.
Eastern European, if not Western
if not,
European.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure about it.
Yeah.
We will take about 10 years to reach that because we are doubling every 5-6 years. So 10 years, 12 years. So you and I will both be around and we will be retired and we'll have more time at our hand.
Yeah.
And so that we can sit and analyze this. But I'm pretty sure about it.
So the good part about this chair is I get to have the last word as well. But before that, I'll give you one last word. Is your bold prediction for real estate next 10 years, 15 years?
Tough one. I'm sure there are many who have made bold predictions and got it wrong.
No, doesn't matter.
Bold predictions, if they're meant to be wrong,
That's okay. It's all about probabilities anyway.
I'll take 30 seconds before I answer that. Real estate is a 12,000-year-old industry. Why? Because 12,000 years ago is when we started colonizing. Before that, we used to live in jungles and caves. And 12,000 years of booms and busts have happened in real estate. It's a cyclical industry. Every 7-8 years it goes through. I'm hoping real estate will become thoroughly experiential. Real estate should become hospitality effective.
Correct.
When you go to a hospitality space or a hospital for that matter, there is a real estate and a service component which is mingled.
Correct.
Alloyed together to create an experience. When you go to a hospital, for example, you are caring about how is the doctor, whether I'll get the right treatment or not. Real estate becomes secondary with respect to perception.
Correct.
Same thing with hospitality, right? If you bring atrocious, let's assume for a second you don't have IHS of the world to train people to be in hospitality and then you throw whoever you feel like throwing into to serve the customers. You think you have a hope in hell of running those places with the same real estate, I mean. So a great a great hotel also with the same infrastructure, poorer people running the show, bad processes running the show will kill the place. I am hoping that real estate will become more and more serviced in every aspect. So to me, my bold prediction is in 20 years from now, you will be so happy with real estate, you will not be able to distinguish a community from a 5-star hotel today. But at the price of the community only, without paying for a 5-star. Which also means that a 5-star hotel will end up becoming a affordable
real estate.
So this is one thing which I was thinking and I'm just making it up now. We get challenged because this is not the first time I am answering to a question. Please pardon me if I am coming across as an aggressive guy having not necessarily favorable thoughts and not necessarily an empathetic mind or a heart of talking about affordability. I'm saying it's a reality, better accept it. It will get solved with time, with economy improving. Effectively, that's my one-liner to all your questions. Nobody has ever challenged about airline till Mr. came along. Why is it that a normal man cannot travel by airlines? Let's put 200 other airports and let anybody with a slipper climb an aircraft. And we have had some 5 or 7 million unique air travelers in the last 10 years since Mr. came along. He challenged a status quo, right? I am hoping that you as students and you as Kunal will challenge saying why the hell is 5-star restricted to probably 3,000 people in Gurugram. There are 20 lakh people. Make it invitable, make it affordable. Can we make it affordable? Can we have everybody coming to 5-star and eating there or staying for a night there? No, because there is an economic reality which we are willing to accept. And we are not blaming the government. Why are you not making 5-star affordable for everybody? We are accepting as economic reality. What we are saying, what is the solution there? The solution is make everybody rich. Let them become competent enough to be able to afford. We are willing to play the game on the other side when it comes to hospitality, but when it comes to real estate, you guys blame us. Apologies, I wanted to end.
No problem. No, one last question. One last question. You got to take this one. Do you think what real estate, I believe you pay about 50% taxes to the government before even the let's say the house is given possession. Do you think if that is reduced, it will become affordable?
Of course, I do no doubt about it. Not about it. Because obviously between so many taxes one pays, it ends up becoming like that. But I don't crib about it.
Yeah.
So when I go for industry forums and I say it's again a reality, it's my contribution to the economy. At some point economy will say, okay, I don't need 50 from you anymore. I'll take 40 from you because that is good enough for me to run. So then I'll pass it on to the customer to an extent.
Fair enough. So firstly, thanks. I really appreciate the candor in which you kind of talk, and you've always been a man who speaks his mind out, both politically, policy, as well as professionally. My two bits, and this won't be philosophical, is just as an observer of a citizen, as a citizen in this country, is if we make it too unaffordable, any aspect, and real estate is roti, kapda, and makan is extremely right up there, the Maslow's hierarchy, then we isolate our youth and they will perhaps choose other countries to live and stay. That's number one. Number two, even if we are 8,000 per capita income, I believe in one thing, the chief minister, in our case, the CEOs. I'm a CEO, you're a CEO. If we start compromising right on top, what I'm trying to tell you is, if let's say if a chief minister comes into a city and see garbage, he has compromised it already. He's a compromised person, because then everybody in the administration has accepted that. That acceptance is a mindset problem. And at $8,000 also, it won't change that mindset. The mindset can be changed. I've been to Ghana. You've been to Ghana yourself. And that country must be having a 1,500 per capita income, but is one of the cleanest countries in the world. Thirdly, like you, I'm an absolute over-optimist on India. I believe that the citizens of this country will push the agenda, and the more they demand of the administration, the more the administration will get the service.
Absolutely. I think we have all become activist citizens.
Yes.
As a real estate player, I see it on a day-to-day basis. And you and I used to quietly accept things.
Correct.
When something was going wrong. We were accepting mediocrity in terms of for the products that were coming our way. If something was going wrong, we were like, "Arey, kya karen, theek hai, adjust kar lo." I think that this generation is unwilling to accept and unwilling to adjust, and that's my big hope also.
Absolutely.
I think the tolerance comes with the customers accepting suboptimal or substandard outcomes.
Correct.
I see that changing. And that is all in sync, Kunal.
Yeah.
I think you are right and I am right in my own ways. When your economy starts becoming richer, your ability to or your willingness to accept suboptimal and substandard outcomes drops equally.
True. And on a lighter note, and they say if both of us are right, then one of us is unnecessary.